You ready to do something crazy and talk about stuff that's uncomfortable, son? Here we go. All right, guys. Welcome to Broken Man. I wanted to talk to you guys about kind of what made me to do this crazy ideal of going out west and going hiking, rappelling, rock climbing, just anything that my body will allow me to do. So many years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. As you know, as men, we're not easy to be knocked down. I tried to go at it with good spirits and a good frame of mind. Over the years, it really weighed on me, relationship-wise, things like that. When I met my wife, she really helped me through a lot of that. Seizures, taking care of me when I was down, having loss of certain areas of my body, arms, legs, memory loss, things like that temporarily. Anyway, I lived with it for the last probably 15, 20 plus years. And now we're at the point where things has gotten way worse. And, I don't like going to the doctors. They seem like they never have anything good to tell you about yourself. Been depressed, fighting things in my own mind and you know how it is, in your spirit, your heart, And my wife came to me and just said, hey, what would make you happy, So when you're living with your mortality, if that's even the right word, on your mind every day, it's a heavy burden, knowing that you don't know how much longer you have. So, my dad and I, we used to talk about going out west and building a cabin out in Oregon and doing some crazy stuff like that and living out in the mountains, building these crazy four-wheel drives that could get us further back, into the mountains, and out in the deserts and stuff like that. And of course, he passed away, so we never got to do much of that. He was my best friend. Anyway, back to today. I guess it's been about 5 months, 6 months now that we started this project. I bought a truck in Savannah, Georgia, and we tried to, we were in the middle of a boat delivery. I've lived on a boat for the last 20 plus years, and we decided, we're going to do this Landover thing. We're going to build us a crazy four-wheel drive / Landover, something that we could live comfortably in, but something that's not going to be too heavy. We didn't really want to pop up, so we knew that was going to add some weight. Anyway, I was on the middle of a boat delivery. It broke down, and we were in South Carolina on the coast. I was looking on Facebook, and I found this F-350 cabin chassis, 2006. It had or 2005. It had a tool bed on it. It had hydraulic winches, all kinds of stuff that made me say that's the kind of truck I would want to build from. So I went and looked at this truck. It was $2,000. The guy had it listed for, and this guy turned out to be an angel. He was a great guy. Great. He still is a great man. His son, it was a very tight family. And I told him, I said, I want the truck. I know it doesn't run. I know you think it needs a motor, but would you let me work on it here? I said, I don't even want to knock you on the price. I'll pay you what you're asking for it. And he said, sure, if you want to come here and work on it or what have you. He ended up letting me sleep there in my truck. And when he seen I was asleep in my truck, he was like, no. He's like, we can put you in an RV. So his son said, hey, I've got an RV plugged in beside my house. It's literally walking distance from the truck. It was literally a block. So we agreed to it. We bought the truck. He let me fix that truck right there, which I'm fixing to show you guys. It had the factory tires, wheels on it, and stuff like that. I found some tires, which you guys might see here in the picture, some 40s. I was wanting a little bigger, but these were in my budget. I bought 6 tires and wheels for, I think it was like $1,000 or $1,200. I think it was 1,000. And so I got the truck running. They let me stay there. I actually left and came back because I was in the middle of working. So I came back. I worked there for a week or so or two, and then came back and worked another week or so or two on it. Got that truck running good. I found the camper. It was built by the Ford manufacturer back in 1973. Can't think of the name of it right now, but I'm sure my wife, when she's editing this, she can put it up there where you guys know what you guys are what I'm talking about, and show you some pictures. So when I bought this truck, it literally was in grass growed up higher than that. We got it running. We put the big tires on it, cut out the fender wells. I didn't even have the Bushwhacker fender well kit for it yet. So we literally took the inner fenders, throwed it in the back of it, put the big tires on it, put a 2.5-inch leveling kit on it so it would clear the tires really good, and tagged it, insured it, and then we decided we were going to buy this camper up in North Carolina. So we took off to North Carolina. We met another fine husband and wife team, and we literally was like, it's okay, Cole, it's just the neighbors. And Jeff and Marilyn, what awesome people. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys, you'll see more of them in the video. So we bought this camper. We didn't have really a place to stay up here while we were working on it. We were trying to get it ready to go back to Florida to do some work, or to Mississippi. We hadn't decided which way we were going with it yet, and it needed a lot of work. So they said, hey, just stick around, you know, fix the kitchen cabinets, fix the countertop. And we were like, are you sure? They're like, yeah, no problem. We love seeing it come together. You know, they were very excited about our truck. So we did, and we've been here just about ever since. So now where we're at, we've bought some dually axles, front and rear, out of an 06 diesel truck. And these axles, I think the front one is a Super Dana 60. I'm not sure. I've just done some measurements online, what they said to look for. Or like I said, really new to this stuff. So anyway, we've been wanting rear steer really bad. So we're about to do rear steer. I've been a master fabricator, welder in the shipyards, you name it. Hey, baby girl. Hola! So anyway, this is where we're at. And I just want to show you guys a little bit of what we're up to right now. We got the axles off the ground finally, because was working in the yard. We got them in the shop, one of them. The front axle that's going to be the rear axle, and we're going to do a transmission doubler and a few other things. There's just so much to list, I can't even think about it right now just to tell you guys everything that we're doing. But we're going to have lockers, the whole 9 yards. We plan on doing the Trans-American Trail and a few other, you know, going all the way up to Alaska and things like that, and all the way down to South America with this rig. So we're trying to build it to where, yes, you can be on the highways, not the interstates or anything big, but, you know, highways, 50, 55 mile an hour. And then other than that, we're going to be on the trails, logging roads, gravel roads, mountain roads, desert. Like I said, we're wanting to do the Trans-American Trail. I think we're going to start it when we leave here. The truck's not going to be ready, guys, just so you know. We're going to go as soon as we have most of the big ticket items done. So that's our goal. Now, if you guys just hang with me for a minute, I think I got to take this one because it's got more film. I just bought these cameras used, and this one needs a battery. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to go show you guys what we're working on outside. Now remember, this was a stock truck, and we'll show you some pictures of it. And so here's the truck by the burn pit. It's got 40-inch Wrangler Goodyears. The Kevlar sides, I can't remember now, they're the MTRs. 40 1350s, 17-inch rims. I've got the winch bumper off of it, doing the seals and stuff in the winch because we had a leak up there. I haven't done much to it other than, you know, I put in the lights because it was sitting in the sun so long out in that fella's field that the back of the chrome on the inside the headlights, original headlights, was gone. I did cut these fenders out and mount those on there. Truck looks really good. You guys are probably going to be flipping out on what I done. My wife literally had a cow. There's the back of the cab. So I've cut this out because the camper that I'm building, that I'm remodeling, I wanted to be able to come up and walk right into the camper from the inside of the truck. I'm putting race seats inside of it, just a 4-point or 5-point harness, little race seats. The top over the top there will raise up and raise down on shock system, and our bed will be over that, of course, and you guys will see that. We're removing the fuel tank on this truck. We're getting rid of this rear, and we're going to use that Dana 60 back here. We're going to beefing it up really good. We have 430 gearing for the truck right now, and we're going to stick with the 430 gearing until we have the money to be able to get a little lower. We are going to do a transmission doubler. We haven't had time or the money to do that yet. My wife, she stuck the little cowboy in there when I was grinding and working on the bed, and she was out here helping me, and we were trying to get the bed off so we could sell it to buy more parts for the truck. I put these airbags on it originally, was planning on using them, and I haven't even used these things. I mean, I aired them up one time when we got it under the camper because we were thinking about just taking it somewhere else to be able to work on it, but the people that we met here are just super, super nice. I can't say enough good about them. And so they just kind of give us free run of the place and let us do whatever and loan us their vehicle and you name it. I mean, you don't meet people like that very often. So we're going to cut all this bracketry away and the overload spring brackets and all that, get rid of the fuel tank. The rear end is going to be slid back. I think we figured it to be 19 inches. I'm going to build some rear 4-link suspension for it. I'm going to do it all myself. You know, like I said, guys, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. As you can see, guys, I just kind of wire wheeled and took everything kind of off as much as I could and painted and just cleaned the frame up the best I could. I still got to do under the cab there. You can guys kind of see it's still yellow kind of, and as you guys can see mashed right here, that is a 1-inch hockey puck. I put a 1-inch lift on this truck, and the reason I did that is because when I was rebuilding this engine, I didn't quite rebuild it, but close enough. It did like an in-frame rebuild, or under the hood rebuild. I had to put had to rebuild the turbo and put it back in there. And when I was doing that, up under the hood was the toughest. You know, on these 2006, I think it's 2007 down to 2005, I'm not sure exactly, but it was after they did the 7.3. They literally shoved that turbo back under that firewall of that engine. And let me tell you guys, man, if you've never done a turbo on one of these things, now granted, the mounts, I didn't notice how bad the mounts was on this thing. They were literally sitting down on hardly anything. The body was. There was hardly no room. I had about that much room to get that turbo in and out. And when you're leaning out over something like that, on your knees, trying to balance yourself and also trying to do that turbo, it's almost impossible. But it's still possible, but almost impossible. Anyway, so I wanted to raise it up at least 1 inch, the cab off the chassis, before I mated the cab to the camper shell. Now, I've already gutted the camper shell in a lot of areas. I started redoing the kitchen before, when we talked about just staying and doing everything else. That was just one of those things where, you know, they said, hey, you guys are fine, just stay here and make it happen. So we were like, okay, you know, why not? I've been working, doing mechanic jobs and you name it, to you know, kind of make money to be able to buy the parts. And I want to show you guys the camper that I bought. It was in a lot better shape. It wasn't so tore apart. I don't know if you guys can see that in the background, but that's our camper. It was washed up and cleaned up a couple of months ago. And as you guys can see, I gutted everything under here. A bunch of plywood screwed together, mashed together, and there was quite a bit of rot, and I wanted to get rid of all that. Everything that we done here, when we put down the new floors and the epoxy plywood, all sides are epoxied before painted, as you can see inside there, the walls. And I think my wife's got some more video of it. And then, as you guys can see, all that spray and foam, we're actually taking it out and redoing it to make it new again. And all this is going to be steel. So underneath the truck, when I integrate it all back together, most of this, the headboard of the truck and the walk-through and where the bed raises up, it's all going to be done using like 1x2 thin wall tubing, like 16 gauge or something like that. I don't know. I haven't got that far yet. Right now, what we decided to do before the camper gets mated onto the truck, once we did the cab and we got that done, we decided, you know, with the truck sitting on the camper and with it lifted up, it was just not wide enough. This thing was going to be very tipsy. It was not going to do well off-road. And I said, I can't have that. You know, that's just defeats the goal. I don't want to be on the pavement no more than what I have to. So I started looking at options, you know, these rear ends and the dualies and stuff like that. And I thought, you know, if I had a dually axle, I think they're 80 inches or 81 inches. I'm like, you know, I could run a single wheel with some blocks on that if I had to, and get what I needed. Run steels, you know, steel, what do you call them? Hub-centric blocks. And then, you know, if like I said, see this here, and if you've seen this rear end without it in the truck, you can see it. It's definitely wider. So anyway, you know, anything that we could get to make the rear ends wider and the front ends wider on a budget. So I found these axles, front axle, rear axle, for $850, and I bought them up. I actually used Miss Marilyn's truck. She loaned me her Ford Ranger to go get them. So what we've done is we put 2 of them so far on some steel rims. I found a set of 17-inch steel rims for a dually. I think they come off like a 2005 or something like that. Diesel dually. The guy put aluminum rims on his. Anyway, I wanted to go with steel because steel is cheap, and even if you bend a wheel, you're still going to get out of the woods. You're still going to get back to civilization to fix it. So that was one of the big deciding factors for me. 1, cheap. 2, it could still get you out, where if you was to bust a wheel or the center out of one of these aluminum wheels, it'd be a different story. So I mounted 2 on the rim. I wanted to cut the rims and widen the rims, and because they're 6 1/4 rims, as you guys can see right here, there's not a lot of, you know, I mean, you can still tell the width of the tire, but it would look a lot better wider. So what we're talking about doing is cutting the outer dually rim on the outside and widening it 3 to 4 inches, and then do the inside of the dually rim in here. Now what's good about my truck is this truck is a cab and chassis truck versus just a regular bed and cab truck, you know, dually. The frame is way narrower, so I'm using that to my advantage because the frame is so narrow. And I'm going to show you guys real quick. You can see kind of how narrow this frame is compared to a dually that's not a cabin chassis. I want to say it's like a total of 4 inches or something like that, difference in the frames. I'm not too sure on that. And then when you're running those dually axles, okay, that's already, you know, way wider, what that does is that just adds to the width of the truck. And when I start building my 4-link, and I want these rear dualies, these rear wheels, when they're on the dually wheel on the Dana 60 here, we're putting dualies on this Dana 60. I don't know how good it's going to work out, but that's the goal. And we may even run some blocks on it. We ain't decided. So, but when we're done, we want these dualies to steer. And the reason we want that thing to steer is the dualies are for more width. I know everybody's going to say, oh man, you're going to get a bunch of rocks in between them. You're going to hate that. And I may. And if that happens, then I'll go back to single wheel, but and figure out a different solution. But for now, we're going to put dualies on it. They are going to turn, and I think the capability of them turning, they're already, you know, a dually, as far as not having a bed on there to get in the way of anything turning the 2 sets of wheels. The cab in this frame, or the frame and our rear end, as you can see, the shorter rear end, the dually is going to be even wider than this one. Gives you quite a bit of room to spin or to turn, and all this is going to be gone. The springs, the spring hangers, all this bracketry is going to be gone. Even the fuel cell is going to be gone. We're actually going to mount aluminum, pre-welded aluminum tanks on each side. We're going to keep them above the bottom of the cab, and they're going to go inside of that camper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build boxes all along that bed of that camper there, and build my own subframe as light as I can with aluminum boxes, you know. It's a long ways from being finished, but it's got a good start. As you guys can tell, you know, my wife, I thought she was going to have a heart attack when she came home and she seen I'd cut the cab out. I thought she was going to choke me to death. But now she's starting to see and get it, you know. We're going to raise the front up under the seats, so the racing seats just sit down low on them, where you can just walk from the camper inside to the truck cab, start the truck up, and go every morning when you're underway. You know, I like that better than parking the truck, getting out, going and getting something out of the back, and then getting back in the truck or crawling through a window. I want to try to get away from all that stuff. I wanted to make it as much like a home as possible, kind of like a yacht or a boat or whatever. You know, you run the boat where you live. You know, you've got a steering wheel, the couch, and the bed's right there close to you. Your kitchen's behind you usually, or just in the next room. And that's kind of what I was thinking about for this truck. You know, I want to set it up to where it's jacked up, it's big, you can pretty much get off-road with it. You wouldn't handle too steep of angles or too steep of climbs and stuff like that. But I want it to be very capable. I want to do all river crossings going out west, kind of like the old, like the Oregon Trail with the guys, with the horses and buggies and all their attachments and stuff like that. I want this thing to be able to do that. I'm going to put the winch back under the front of it. It's going to have a winch in the rear and 2 along the side under the RV or camper, the Overlander. So that's kind of the goal. We're going to make it completely self-sufficient, and we're going to try to keep it under 12,000 pounds all at that same time. It's going to have, hopefully, it's going to have everything that you can imagine to be able to go off-road, from rub rails to rock sliders. I'm probably going to build like the rock sliders and things like that, thinner metal, just to save on weight. I can always cut them out and replace them down the road if I do a big boo-boo. But for the most part, I want it to be able to pull itself backwards out of a mud hole, forward if it needs to, sideways, whatever it needs to happen. to make the, to make it happen. We're going to make it, as self-sufficient as we can. We did the camper did have a the old black water tank. It's going to have a gray water tank, and it's going to have the water holding tank, which is under the floors in it. I've already replaced everything under there and epoxied, and brand new clamps, brand new hoses. The only thing we're not going to run is that black water tank. I don't have, the thought of messing with those hoses and those tanks, cleaning them, or having to deal with putting those hoses away after you're done, or paying to have them pumped or whatever, it just doesn't do nothing for me. So we're going to do that, what do they call that? They put that stuff in the commode. I can't think of it right now, but my wife, I know she could come up with it easily enough. But we're going to do that commode that just kind of dumps out, you just change it. But anyway, guys, if you guys got any questions, or any ideals that would help me, just remember, I'm new at this. I mean, years ago, I've been in the four-wheeling, mud slinging, hill climbing, you name it. I'm just a Tennessee boy originally, from the hills of Tennessee, up in Tellico Plains. But so building, welding, grinding, on cutting hars, and you name it, working on the farm and stuff like that, I know a lot about. But when it comes to this stuff here, I'm pretty smart. I can fix a diesel engine like there's no tomorrow. I can work on these old Dana rear ends. But all that new technology they have, trusses and all that stuff, if you guys got any what's the word for it, any suggestions that would help this build that is reasonable. I'm not going to spend no $300 to put a truss on there. If it's $150 maybe, $200 maybe, but I've got to save that money where I can and put it into the areas to where I can get this old girl mated up, back up with this camper, and bolted down and underway. I've got new 12-volt refrigerator, new bed for it. I've got all new cushions. We've got pretty much everything to put it back together right now. But we're just, like I said, we want to get these rear ends under here, get the rear steer working, and I would love to have any advice that you guys have on running the Dana 60. I'm not cutting this Dana 60 up. I'm going to run them same mounts that's on that Dana 60. I'm going to run it with the axle over to the side. Like I said, I am going to run another one, another axle. Another transfer case, and I might do it for a Chevrolet and then set it off to where it splits off and it comes down the side to that axle. If not, I've been looking at CV dry shafts, and I've watched a couple of guys that's done cross country with CV dry shafts in the cross thing, using a Toyota Land Cruiser, I believe it was, one guy, and every 20-30,000 miles he just took it apart, checked it, made sure everything was good, re-greased it, and put it back together. So I think this is possible. I'm not taking this to the woods to bash it, beat it, or any of that. This is going to be my home for the next 2 or 3 years, maybe longer, hopefully longer. But if you guys have any suggestions that would help me along fuel tanks, dry shafts, I've already bought these rear ends, so I'm going to use them. I'm just going to change the gearing in the front, the 430 gearing up front, and to match the Dana 60 in the back. And I believe I can carry axles for the rear Dana, for this rear Dana, that will work for the front. So that's another thing that I look at all the pros along with the cons, is if I break an axle in the front and I've got a pair of axles slid in the frame here in a little box or what have you, then I can fix a rear axle or I can fix a front axle because I'm running the same equipment. So I look at that as a win too. So anything you guys have that might help me move a little further down the way that can you know, help this old brain calculate it better, fix it, weld it, grind it, anything, please throw it in the comments to my wife. I'm not very smart when it comes to online stuff. I'm learning. Matter of fact, this has taken me about 3 months to do this video because my wife says we need to sit down and get this YouTube thing going. You know, this could be a good way to help us go travel. You know, people watch them, and she was telling me how YouTube actually pays for videos, or I don't know exactly how it works, but hey, if she says it, I believe it. So she ain't steered me wrong yet. So anyway, if you guys got any advice or anything like that that can come in handy or that could make this go faster or easier on me, I plan on being at that Matt's Off-Road 2025 this coming up year. So I don't know how many months away it is, but come hell or high water, I'm going to be there for that. Half done or completely done, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to be there. I don't care if I'm still swiping Bondo and welding on stuff and dragging the stuff in the camper with me. I'm going to go to that. I want to do that. I want to see it. I want to watch these guys. It's just watching all them guys out there having fun like that, it just makes my heart smile. So I want to go be a part of that, or at least go watch it. And so that's the goal. And that kind of pushes me, because when I'm not working on the neighbors' cars and things like that, I'm on this truck day and night. So all right guys, well that's enough. It looks like I've been talking for like 30 minutes. My wife said to keep the talking down. I guess you guys don't watch very long if a man's talking a lot, so I may have to redo this, and who knows. All right guys, thank you a lot, and thanks to the mics that's helped me in the last 5-6 months, and you guys know who I'm talking about. Thank you for everything. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for giving me a place to stay when I was doing this. Thank you for selling me the truck too, Mike, and you know which Mike I'm talking about. Thank you for selling me the truck, putting up with me, putting up with my wife. You know, just thank you for being good people and good friends. And we'll catch you guys later. Like I said, like, subscribe, or don't. You know, it's up to you guys. And hopefully I'll bring you guys some more of these videos of me mashing my fingers and cursing and cussing and throwing parts and trying to figure out how I'm gonna buy this part and do this or do that, and how I'm gonna weld this or weld that. I wish you guys could have been around. I think there is some of the videos of this. My wife was so mad when she seen I'd cut that out and pulled the headliner out of it and everything. She just did not understand I was going that far with this. So she was pretty irate, I guess would be the word, till I set her down and explained why it needed to be that way. Besides, when you're building something like this, you need to cut the weight down, and I cut enough weight, sure enough, out of it. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.